Hello, welcome back to the 55 Buick POS Special Build. Today I've got something it's more in line for 55 Buick owners, but also 56 and also GM owners of this era. Is it possible to keep your factory heater but run a clean firewall like that and lose the big air plenum and the blower motor? Well, that's what I'm going to try to do today. So as I talked about in a previous video, when I cleaned up the firewall and removed everything off of the firewall, explained how the original heater setup to get fresh air to the blower motor would take air in through the cowl, into the through the firewall, and into this guy. Big plenum with the blower motor that would mount to the firewall. I can't do this with one hand, but you get it. This big monster here would mount to the firewall. Air would get into this plenum here. Set it down. And when the air got into the plenum, that's where your blower motor is. And then the blower motor would send the air out this 4-inch outlet here into a piece of flex tubing. And on a 55 Buick, the flex tubing would then run behind the fender to where the heater core is. Well, I removed all of that because I wanted the firewall flat to have maximum room for the downpipe on the turbo. And some guys just want to clean it up. I mean, you can take that plate off and weld it up and Bondo it and fill it and smooth it, and you never know there was ever a hole there. But the problem with doing this is obviously taking away that plenum and the blower motor, you lose your factory heater. And the factory heater is actually the best heater for this car. So let's try something. So inside the car, that is the other side of the heater core. The heater core is actually inside there. Can't really see without a light in there. But that's the box where the heater core is. So that hot air would come in through the other side and obviously blow air, that's good. Blow air across that heater core. And then using the heater controls, you open and close the dampers. So you would either send heat up into that top section, which runs into a tube, which runs into this big plenum here. That feeds your defrosters. So you want to have that if you want to keep your defrosters. And then you have the opening there where you can blow hot air down into the car to get some heat. So for a car like this that I build, that obviously is not going to be driven in the winter, but will be driven on days where it might be a little cold and you'll need a defroster, the defroster is probably the most important thing. I can deal with a little bit of coldness, but defroster to keep the windshield clean is pretty important. And I've looked at universal eBay heaters and stuff, and nothing really fits. And really, nothing fits like factory. Factory stuff's always the best stuff to use. It's engineered to fit, and it works. So, now the plan is to make this work without that big plenum and blower on the firewall. And I think I came up with something. Hopefully it works. We're going to try this out. But the first thing I have to do is remove this plenum and get the heater core out, because the heater core is going to be junk. And heater cores for these cars are far and few between anymore. But I have a solution for that as well. So let's get started and get this unbolted. First thing I'm going to remove is this vent plate. Just because I don't need it anymore, because we don't have a vent anymore. So you will lose the fresh air vent, obviously, with the removal of the plenum. And these are the only two control cables I'm keeping. There were originally 5. 2 of them went to the vents, one on each side, which are not there anymore. Goes on the left side, the power brake unit went where the vent was, so that's gone. And on this side, we blocked it off, so it's gone. And the last one was for the heater control, water control valve that was up there in the corner that we got rid of. Don't need that because, but honestly, if I need the heat on, I need it on. I don't need to regulate it. So full-time heat is just fine. All right, so now this cover has to come off. Get my tape out of the way here. Try not to lose these bolts. Just gonna need those. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like 7 bolts holding it in. Alright, this is the last one, I think. Already got the back ones. These are just 3/8 head bolts. Now, see how easy this comes off after however many decades. I don't want to bend it up. I should get a pry bar. Oh, there she goes. Whoop, there she goes. And yeah, that was a defroster hose. Those are all going to be junk. They disintegrate as expected. Way. Take this apart. Get the mouse residue out of it. Lubricate everything. Clean it all up so it'll work again. Get that out of the way. Change that for. All right. And there's the heater core, which actually looks not in bad shape at all. But I'm not going to risk it. Now, can I get that out of the car? Oh, there's another bolt. So, there were the 7 bolts holding the plenum on. There's another one up top that you can't get to, or don't need to get to, yet. Now you need it out. So there's one way up high, another 3/8 full. And that should be the last one holding that heater core box in place, which is going to be stuck. Now, can I get it out? I have to get this out of the fender area, and I don't want to take the fender off the car. So, I'm going to try putting a screwdriver on the bolt hole areas and tap on it and see if it'll move. Now, I don't want to hit this too hard. Just want to kind of break the seal if I can. And that did it. Yep, she's loose. All right. Now, there she goes. So that fell inside the fender area. Now I got to go around in the engine compartment and see if I can get that out by hand. Sorry, I'm not taking you with me. Okay, so here is the plan. This is the original heater box here. Still got the heater core inside. Take that out for replacement. And the idea here is to replace the air, right? So this is where the flexible tube would connect to the plenum, to the air box, obviously send hot air or just air across the heater core. Picked up one of these. Took a while to look around to see what I could find. This is a Spall. It's the only 4-inch fan that I could find other than a little computer fan. I needed something that would really move some air, and this looks like it would do the job. Here's the part number, 301-03009. Little pricey, I think it was around $60. But other than a little computer muffin fan, it wasn't easy to find something that was 4 inches. And with the size of the blades, this should move some air. This is made for, you know, like I guess if you had a trans cooler or something and you wanted to put air across it. So it's made to put air. And the reason I wanted 4 inch is because that's the dimension of this. Now this could go out like that, but then you add to the depth. And I don't know, there's not a whole lot of room behind that fender. So what I'm gonna do is cut this section off here and make the box flat and put some studs on it. Probably don't even need studs, you could probably just use shooter screws or something. But I'm gonna mount this fan right to this box to put air across that heater core, and then put some power to it and see if it looks like it'll do the job. It looks like this piece here is actually spot welded to the case from the inside. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is remove the heater core to get to the back. This has a big gasket here that I'm sure is not reproduced. Well, it could be, I guess, but chances are it isn't. It's just some foam, so that's no big deal. I can make that out of foam insulation tape. But if I can get it off in one piece, just one less thing to have to do. So let's see. Get a blade. Knife. Yeah, I got it off. Still actually usable, but I don't think we'll use that. There's the heater core. Actually looks to be in very nice shape, other than obviously there was some water down here in the bottom. May or may not make a difference. I would have to pressure test it to be sure. But I have another plan. I'm not going to use this heater core. I'm going to show you how to use something newer, because most likely, if you're doing one of these cars, your heater core is junk. Last one I did looked really good like this too, but when I pressure tested it, it leaked. Alright, so got to get these clamps off of here. I'm just going to cut those with the whiz wheel, death wheel, whatever you want to call it, just in case the heater core is good. I don't want to put any stress on these tubes. So we'll get that cut. Clamps are off. Piece of hose off without hurting anything. Put a slice in them. And they come right off. Don't put any stress on the heater core. Some old hose. Go. See all the rust coming out of this thing. So now the heater core. I see 4 Phillips head screws holding them on, which are probably in really bad shape. Let's see. All right, need to get the shop vac right there. All right, let me see if these 4 screws will come out. Got one coming out. All right, that's 2. All right, 3. It'll actually all come out. Got a pipe. Look at that. All right, we got all 4 out. Very nice. There you go. She was out. And see, we got some rust in the bottom of the box there from water getting in there. Heater core itself, maybe a replacement. It looks very, very good. Just has the surface rust there, or corrosion from water getting on the bottom. Now I don't know if that made a difference or not, and I'll have to pressure test it to know for sure. But I'm not going to use it. I'll pressure test it. If it's good, I'll sell it to somebody who's doing a factory restoration or something and doesn't want to upgrade to something different. Because you can't get these anymore. It's ridiculous. I looked on my other 55 Buick to try to find an original. Nope. All right, so let me show you what I'm going to do. That looks like it's going to work really good. Really good. All I need are some mounting studs for it. Or some shooter screws or something to mount it to it. So, that'll be the next thing. Okay, I have the fan mounted on there, and I stuck the original heater core back in just for a minute because I want to see what kind of air this thing puts out. So, hook up the battery here, ground. Give me a hot side. Let's see what happens. Definitely pushing air. It works. I don't know how powerful the factory one was, but that will definitely put out enough air for the defroster for sure, and hopefully for the heater. I think it's going to work. All right, so we need a heater core, and this is what I'm going to use. Now it's a little different design from the original. Obviously, we got two outlets on one end instead of one on end and one on the other. But this is a readily available heater core with 5/8 inlet and outlet, which is what the original had. So if we were replacing an original, this will work just fine. This is out of a 2000 Dodge Neon. Yep, going Mopar. But the dimensions are pretty good. Now make me a liar. It'll fit. This one's a little tighter on the end there than my other one was. But what I'm going to have to do is change the outlet configuration in this box, obviously. I'm going to want these heater hoses to be, let's see here. I'm going to put them on the top. So that means this is going to mount in here like this, which means I need to put some holes over there, or I could put it, no, that's it. There's no other option. That's how it's going. So it's going to go like that. So I got to cut a hole in the box for those feeds and blank off the others, and we'll have a heater core. Now, this heater core is like a perfect fit for this box. However, this one, unlike the last one I did, because of these clamps where they assembled the end, it's a hair wider on this end. So I'm going to have to do a little massaging on this heater box, like with a hammer. I'm gonna have to dent this in on both sides in this area. It actually feels like it bulges inward, so I need to get rid of that so the heater core will fit okay. And let's see what happens here. Give that a little massage. And yep. It's going to fit in there nice. No problemo. So the dimensions will be good. All I'm going to have to do is make the holes for the new heater connections. But as I say, the fit is tight but right. So that is a, like I said, 2000 neon, and I'm just gonna have to cut some new holes up here for the outlets, weld up the old ones, and it fits so snug it doesn't have to have any hardware really to hold it in. It's not going anywhere. So let me get some holes cut and we'll come back to this. One modification that needs to be done to this heater core that I forgot about. There's these two little plastic tabs here. Got to cut those off. There we go. Seal up the other holes or weld up the other holes. And you got a modern heater core for your 55 Buick. Pretty cool. All right, I'm gonna get the holes sealed up. And we'll put it back in. Holes are filled. A little bit of black spray paint for it. Just over the fresh metal so it doesn't rust. Isn't that silly? For this car, I think I'm going a little overboard. There we go. Very nice. Modern heater core with 5/8 outlets. Now the heater core came with this glue-on foam, which I could use to make a seal for my new fan, which I think I'll do. But first I get a little bit of butyl tape to seal up this here. Alrighty, this is butyl tape. Used to put windshields in older cars. Seal glass. Looks good. I'm just going to use it around my new hole here. That I made for the heater core. A bit more. That'll seal that up. So all the hot air get into the car and not go out of it. All right. Looks good. Next thing will be put the fan back on. You have to seal up the fan opening. Looks like I could have curved it a little bit better there. Flexible stuff. Good. All right, there we go. Very nice. So that works with the new heater core. Now we have the foam seal, which I'll show you in just a minute. So now with that, see I have the foam there to seal the fan to the box. Now I have a modern heater core, easy to get, 40 bucks I think it was, versus if you can find a 55 Buick heater core, it's going to be well over 100, probably 150. And here for $40, there it is. So now I get to keep my original style heater, and I get to have my smooth firewall. So that's awesome. I can't wait to try it out. I know it's going to work, even if it doesn't blow as hard as the original fan. It'll be plenty for defroster and get some heat in the car. Very cool. All right, all that's left is to put it back in the car. And just a final look at the finished product. I think it's going to be awesome. So for those who want to shave your firewall and still keep your factory heater, I think this is a good option. Obviously, once it's reinstalled in the car and plumbed up, I'll let you know how it does. One thing I am going to do, because I'm not pulling the fender off, I'm going to install some pretty long lengths of heater hose on this and then fish it back behind the fender. And that's why I also left a long length of wires off the motor, because I'm not going to be able to get behind there once it's installed to put clamps on these hoses or anything. You'd have to drop the inner fender well out or take the fender off, and I don't want to do any of that. So I'm just going to put the hoses on it and feed it back there. One other thing to note too, if you do buy this fan, it does not come with a connector. So I had to put a couple spade connectors on there, terminals to fit it, and I'm going to tape that up with electrical tape just to seal it up. And that's it. Hope that helps somebody. Get this installed, and then I think I can get back to finishing wiring the car. Okay, so I was going to end the video, but I figured I'd add one more thing for those doing this. With the fan on the unit, and you can see it all back there, I could not install it with the hood spring in place. So I had to do the old washer trick. Jammed a bunch of 1/2-inch washers in it to expand it enough. But because I don't have my hood installed and the spring was not stretched beforehand, I couldn't get it off even with the washers as is. That took a lot of the tension off of it, and then I was able to unbolt the hood hinge. But if you have your hood in place, you know, put the hood down and stretch the spring some, and then you can jam a whole bunch of washers in it. And then when you open the hood, the spring will basically fall out. Makes it very easy. So I'll have a little bit of tension on it when I put it and make it harder. But I wanted to just show the unit. It's all installed. You can get to everything, actually. You can get to the clamps back here. And that's how it's routed. Now, what I want to show is I'm using flexible heater hose, regular 5/8 hose, and it made the corner no problem whatsoever, but it is up against the fender. I mean, it's not going to cause a problem, but if you don't like that, you might want to buy some lengths of 5/8 hose that have a molded 90-degree bend in them, and then you can probably get them away from the fender. The other thing is, you probably noticed when the heater core was installed, the stubs were longer. The stubs on this unit come out to around here, whereas the originals were probably only like that. You could probably cut those plastic stubs down if you wanted to start making the corner earlier, but with the longer piece, the corner is going to start further away from the heater core. The only disappointment with this is my dreams of shooting the exhaust out the side of the fender are done. That's just not going to work with the factory heater core in place. That's okay. I'd rather have heat and a defroster in the car. So silly things will have to be done some other way. But it all looks good, fits nice. So I'm going to put the spring back together and call this finished.